Let me ask you something that might blow your mind. Have you ever closed a book after hours of studying and realized your brain retained absolutely nothing? You were there, you were focused, you highlighted every important line, yet somehow it all vanished the moment you walked away. Here's the shocking truth that no one tells you. Your brain isn't broken, and you're not lazy. The problem is that traditional studying methods are secretly sabotaging your memory, and I'm about to show you exactly why. Think about this for a second. You can remember every detail from a random conversation 5 years ago, but you forget the definition you just repeated 10 times. You know every plot twist from your favorite Netflix series, but that important concept from yesterday's lecture? Gone. This isn't a coincidence, it's how your brain is wired. Your mind doesn't store facts like a filing cabinet stores papers. Instead, it stores experiences, emotions, and connections. When your studying feels passive and repetitive, that's exactly how your memory treats it, as background noise that doesn't deserve space in your long-term storage. Here's where it gets fascinating. Your brain has this incredible filtering system that decides what's worth remembering based on one simple question. Does this matter to me? If the information doesn't connect to something you already know, feel, or experience, your brain literally dumps it within hours. This is why you remember song lyrics effortlessly but struggle with textbook content. The music created an emotional connection, while the textbook remained just words on a page. But what if I told you there's a way to hack this system? What if you could make your brain treat study material like it treats your favorite memories, automatically storing them without effort? I discovered this method after failing the same test twice, drowning in highlighted notes that meant nothing when it mattered. The breakthrough came when I realized I was great at recognizing information but terrible at recalling it, and those are completely different skills. Here's the game-changing technique that transformed everything: the retrieval-first method. Instead of starting with notes, videos, or textbooks, you start with nothing. Literally nothing. Grab a blank piece of paper and ask yourself one simple question. What do I actually remember right now? No help, no hints, just you and your memory having an honest conversation. The first time I tried this, I remembered maybe 5% of what I thought I knew. It was humbling, frustrating, and absolutely brilliant. Why does this work? Because that friction, that uncomfortable struggle to remember, is exactly what makes your brain pay attention. When you feel confident while reviewing, you're probably not retaining anything. When you feel frustrated trying to recall, you're training your brain to save it for next time. Your brain doesn't remember what you repeat, it remembers what you rehearse under pressure. Now here's where it gets even more powerful. Once you identify what you can't remember, you need to become that information. I'm serious about this. Don't just memorize economic principles. Become the CEO making pricing decisions. Don't just study the Krebs cycle. Become the cellular powerhouse converting energy. When you speak from the first person, when you role-play as the concept itself, something magical happens in your brain. You're not studying anymore. You're simulating. This technique taps into your brain's identity center, the same neural networks that remember heartbreaks, inside jokes, and embarrassing moments from years ago. Your brain keeps what feels connected to you and dumps what doesn't. So make everything feel personal. If you're studying supply and demand, don't think about abstract curves. Think about what you'd do if you owned a sneaker company and your latest drop just went viral. Suddenly, economic theory becomes your lived experience. But even the most personal connections won't stick if your brain is overwhelmed with information. This is where most students crash and burn. They try to memorize entire chapters instead of understanding that your brain was designed to hold patterns, not pages. The solution is what I call the chunk collapse method. Instead of cramming endless details, you compress everything into handles your brain can actually grip. For example, instead of memorizing that the prefrontal cortex governs executive function, planning, and impulse control, you create a simple handle. Prefrontal cortex equals CEO of the brain. It makes plans, fires dumb ideas, and keeps the team focused. Boom! Now it's not a concept, it's a character with a job and personality. When test anxiety hits and your mind goes blank, you won't recall paragraphs of text. You'll recall handles, and from those handles, everything else opens up. Here's another crucial piece that most people miss: your body's connection to learning. You know that moment when you're sitting at your desk, books open, but your brain feels like it left the room? You're not tired, you're disconnected. Your nervous system has gone into energy conservation mode, and no amount of willpower can force it back online. But sensation can. Try this right now. Splash cold water on your face, put an ice cube on the back of your neck, or hang upside down for 10 seconds. I know it sounds crazy, but these sensory resets are biological override switches that snap your brain back into the present. When your body wakes up, your brain follows. You don't need more discipline. You need reconnection. And here's the final secret that will revolutionize how you study. Your own voice is the ultimate memory anchor. Your brain listens to your voice more than anyone else's because it evolved to trust its own signals first. Record yourself explaining concepts like you're teaching a curious 5-year-old. Add some background music, lo-fi, ambient, whatever feels right. Then play it while you're walking, doing dishes, or just relaxing. Don't try to study it actively, just let it loop in the background. What happens next is pure neuroscience magic. Your brain flags your voice as familiar and trusted. The rhythm gets baked into your auditory cortex. Your subconscious does the work while you're not even trying. On test day, the answers don't come from desperate searching. They flow like you've rehearsed them 100 times, because in a way, you have. Look, you don't forget things because your brain is broken. You forget because no one taught you how memory actually works. You were trained to consume, cram, and repeat, but your mind remembers what feels playable, what feels alive, what feels like it matters. Once you learn to study in a way that hooks your brain instead of fighting it, studying stops feeling like punishment and starts feeling like progress. Your brain will actually crave learning the way it craves notifications or games, because you finally learned to speak its language.